Hi everyone, welcome to the Scholarly Communication and Impact pre-seminar video. This video is meant to be watched before you attend any of the Scholarly Communication and Impact seminars, and these seminars are compulsory for all NTU graduate research students. This seminar will be conducted in a team-based learning format. Team-based learning is an engaging and collaborative form of learning in which you learn through small group activities and class discussions instead of having a librarian lecture you. It is meant to empower participants to engage with the content in a more meaningful manner, leading to a more engaging seminar. The format of the seminar will look something like this. Firstly, you will be asked to answer 10 MCQs as part of a readiness assurance test. The content for these 10 MCQs will be in this video, so do pay attention. You will answer these 10 MCQs individually first, and then in a small group, and then we will review the answers together as a class. Then we will head for a short break, and after the break, we will look at 5 application exercises. These exercises are more scenario-based and they give you an opportunity to apply what we have discussed so far. For each exercise, you will discuss the answer as a group before we review as a class. During these class discussions, anyone from the group may share insights from the group discussions and also your own thoughts and opinions as well. We will end off with a peer evaluation, and during the peer evaluation, you can give your group mates feedback on their participation during the group activities, and you will also receive feedback on your own participation as well. These are the learning objectives of the Scholarly Communication and Impact Seminar. Firstly, we will identify key scholarly metrics to distinguish impactful researchers, journals, and papers. We will also look at appropriate and relevant library tools that can help you obtain scholarly materials for your research. We will look at the significance of FAIR principles as it applies to open research. And lastly, we will look at some of the best research practices to boost discoverability of work that is done by you. So let's start off by looking at scholarly metrics. Scholarly metrics measure the influence or impact of journals, articles, authors, and even institutions. This is meant to help us indicate who or what is leading that particular field of research at that point in time. Scholarly metrics can come in the form of either being quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative metrics can be calculated via different methods, and qualitative metrics can come in the form of a peer review or book review. So let's take a look at some of the more commonly used scholarly metrics. Now, to measure the impact of a researcher, we could potentially look at the number of publications to see how productive a researcher is. The number of citations that their work has received would give us an indication of how impactful their work is. Either of these numbers on their own do not give us a complete picture of the scholarly impact of a researcher. Hence, the most commonly used metric to measure the impact of a researcher is the H-index. Now, in a H-index, the number X indicates the number of publications for which an author has been cited at least that number of times. So the H-index takes into consideration both the productivity of a researcher as well as the impact of their individual work. Let's take a look at this example. We have author A. These are the 5 papers that author A has published and the number of citations that each paper has received. So let's take a moment to study this table. What do you think the author's H-index is? The author's H-index at this point of time is 4, as the author has 4 papers with at least 4 citations. If you'd like to learn more about the H-index, you may want to proceed to NTU Learn and follow the instructions that you see on this slide here. This activity will take you about 10 minutes to complete, and it can be quite useful to boost your understanding of the H index. Let's move on to looking at the scholarly metrics used to calculate the impact of journals. The most commonly used metric for this is called the journal impact factor. And this is measured by dividing the number of times articles from a journal have been cited over the number of articles that have been published in the past 2 years. There is also a 5-year impact factor for research fields that have a slower rate of research. You can view these impact factors for journals on a database called Journal Citation Reports, which can be accessed via the NTU Library website. You can explore this database to also find out which are the high impact journals for your particular field or research topic as well. Besides impact factor, there are other metrics that also measure a journal's impact. So what can you use scholarly metrics for? Scholarly metrics can be used to track research trends for your topic. By looking at the journals with the highest impact factor, that can also give you an idea of what are the existing trends that exist in your research topic. And by looking at the citation numbers for individual papers, it gives you an idea of how a concept has developed over time as well. This can also help you determine which papers, authors, or journals are considered must read for your topic, as they are highly influential or impactful due to the high number of citations that they have received, which indicates that a lot of people have referenced this particular work. This is especially useful if you are just starting out in this topic. If you're looking for individual impactful papers, you can also refer to the citation databases that can also be accessed through the library website, such as Web of Science or Scopus. Web of Science in particular can also help to identify recently impactful papers that have been published in the last 2 years, such as hot papers. Besides traditional metrics, there is also an alternative way to calculate research impact, especially of articles. These alternative metrics, they use non-traditional methods to calculate impact, such as looking at mentions on social media or blogs, or how many times an article has been exported or saved to citation management systems, how many times an article has been viewed or downloaded from particular databases as well. Now, you can find these alternative metrics by setting up the Altmetrics bookmark on your own browser, or you can use tools such as Dimensions. Here's an example from DRNTU, which is NTU's digital repository. You can see the colorful donut right at the bottom of the screen that indicates how well used this article is. Let's next talk about some movements or features of the research world that we should be aware of as researchers. One of these movements is open research. So let's take a closer look at what open research is and how research data management relates to this. Open research is where research is freely available on the internet for all to use. This opens up opportunities for collaboration where research can be reused, redistributed, and reproduced to benefit that particular field, industry, and so on. There are many benefits to open research, and these are just some of them. Firstly, your research is reproducible. The increased transparency allows others to evaluate your methods and data analysis, which can lead to more reliable results. Your research is also accessible to everyone, which increases its reach and increases its potential for citations. It improves efficiency of research and increases the rate of innovation in the field, as previous research done is accessible and hence can be built upon. Finally, open research also promotes diversity and inclusion across subject disciplines and outside of academia. Now, when we talk about open research, it doesn't just mean making your research paper open, but you can also choose to make your research data open as well. If you are making your research data open, it has to be based on these fair data principles. Firstly, your dataset should be findable by both humans and machines. Your dataset should be able to be accessed by authentication or authorization when necessary. The dataset should be read and integrated with other data or with applications or workflows for analysis, storage, and processing. And finally, the data should be able to be reusable so that it can be replicated or reused in different settings. Now, whether or not you choose to make your research data open, you should be practicing some research data management principles. Research data management refers to all aspects of creating, housing, delivering, maintaining, archiving, and preserving research data. It is one of the essential areas of responsible conduct of research. As researchers, you may be expected to share your research data, and it is highly recommended that you have a data management plan. NTU has a data management plan template that you can refer to that exists in the URL below, or it's also in one of the additional resources below this video on the LibGuide. Now, a data management plan is a plan that you will actually have to manage your research data, and it talks about how the data will be stored, organized, accessed, backed up, secured, and preserved during and after the project is done as well. This is good to have a plan on how you're going to collect and store your research data before you even start your research. There are many benefits to having a data management plan, such as being able to find and understand your data when you need to use it, having continuity if project staff leave or new researchers join. You can avoid unnecessary duplication, such as recollecting or reworking data. And the data underlying publications are maintained, which allows others to validate your results. Data sharing can also lead to more collaboration and research advances. It also helps to make your research more visible and increases the impact of your research. And when other researchers make reference to your research data, they do have to cite it as well. So you do actually gain some credit and attribution along the way as well. So having talked about open research and data sharing, how does this actually apply to you? So according to NTU's open access policy, postgraduate students by research, such as PhD and Masters by Research, must submit their full text dissertation to DRNTU for open access before they will be awarded with their degrees. So this is a requirement for all postgraduate students in NTU. However, there are some occasions that you can request for embargo or exemption of your work. An embargo is when the full text of your work is delayed. There are many reasons that this can be requested for, such as if your work is pending publication, if you are pending patent application, if you are publishing it and the publisher has some embargo requirements, or other such obligations to third parties that may be involved in your research. Now, you can also request for an exemption, which means that the full text of your work will not be made available on DRNTU. And some of the reasons for this is if your research itself contains personally identifiable information, such as certain types of sensitive or confidential information, if you have data that is protected by intellectual property rights, if the publishers that you're publishing with do not allow you to self-archive your work, and again, if you have any obligations to third parties that may be involved in your research. Having said that, there are many benefits to depositing your papers in DRNTU, which is our institutional repository as well. The key benefit here is that all of the work that is deposited into DRNTU is indexed in Google Scholar, which increases the discoverability of your work. So all of your work that is deposited into DRNTU is searchable via Google or Google Scholar. DRNTU itself does offer some features over here, such as providing you a permanent URL so that you can access your full text anytime and anywhere, and you can also monitor the usage of your own publications quite easily. So having talked about open research and open access, we also do need to be careful and aware when we are approached with such opportunities. So there are predatory publishing tactics that will trap you into giving your work to them, and they do not actually have your best interest at heart. So while it is not true that anything that is open access is immediately predatory, we do need to be careful that some of the predatory journals out there do exist. So predatory publishing itself is defined as an unethical practice by suspicious publishers who charge researchers high fees, but they do not do the rigorous academic checks on the quality of their work. So let's take a look at this short video on how you can avoid predatory publishing practices.
You've done your research and are ready to publish. Sharing your results with the world is key to the progress of your discipline and to your career. Publishing your work with an untrustworthy journal has the potential to damage your career. With the number of journals growing at around 3.5% annually, and almost 1,000 new journals launching in 2014 alone, how can you choose a trusted journal for your research? Think, check, submit. Before you decide, step 1. Think. Can I trust this journal with my research? Do I need more information before I can decide that this is a trusted journal? Step 2. Check. Does the journal publish research that you would read yourself? Can you tell which organisation publishes the journal? Can you contact them easily if you need to? Does the journal have editorial policies in place? And do they conduct appropriate peer review? Does it charge publication fees? And are they clear about how much they cost? Do you know the names or reputations of any of the editorial board members? Are articles in the journal indexed in any of the services that you use? Step 3. If you can answer yes to most of these questions, then submit. By following these 3 steps, you can identify which journals will reliably publish your work and make an impact in your field. When you finish your next article, remember to think, check, then submit. Check the website for more tips to help you.
All right, so these are just 3 simple steps. Think, check, and submit, especially if you get approached for publishing your work as well. Okay. All right, so let's move on to our last segment of the day, which is the best research practices. These research practices are recommended for beginner researchers. Finally, let's take a look at some best research practices that are recommended for beginner researchers like yourself. One of the commonly faced issue that researchers have is not being properly credited for their work due to author ambiguities. And this can occur in many different potential scenarios, such as if you have a very commonly used name, or if you have inconsistent use of name, or some of us, when we have more than one element to our name, the order of it also matters. So different names may be truncated, hyphenated, or split. Some non-Romanized names may be translated wrongly. And there are many name changes that may occur in our life due to different life events. And also, what if you change affiliations or change institutions as well? So, how do people actually know the work that you've done belongs to you? So, one solution to this is to create an ORCiD. So an ORCiD is a 16-digit number that you can register for that will follow you across whichever phase you go to. So even if you change topic, you change field, or even if you change institution, the ORCiD will be there with you forever. So it is persistent and it is a unique identifier. So in your ORCiD profile, you'll basically have your name, your institution, and a list of work that you have. So some of the benefits of the ORCiD is that it can be used across different platforms and across different databases as well. And it actually reduces some of the form filling as well, because certain funders and publishers, they will just ask you for your ORCiD and then they have the list of work that you've completed. So it helps you out in that sense as well. We do have a guide on ORCiD, so please do check that out. And it is highly recommended that you set up your ORCiD early on, as it is an identifier that you can use for your research career no matter which institution you go to or which field you publish in. So it is free to register for, so do just set it up for yourselves as soon as you can. Finally, let's talk a little bit about academic integrity at NTU. So an important component of academic integrity is basically just academic honesty. NTU students are expected to take responsibility and ownership of their academic work and basically just be honest about where they get their information from. To this end, NTU has published an academic integrity handbook that contains a lot of useful and relevant information for anyone who is doing any sort of academic writing or research in NTU. It especially contains a lot of useful guidelines in this particular age we are in, which is the age of AI. Now, when it comes to AI, we do have a framework that you can follow. Firstly, seek guidance. Do check in with your supervisor or your school or even your research partners as well for clarification on appropriate AI use for your work. This may differ from project to project, so do always check in with your partners and stakeholders on this. Secondly, AI is just like any other tool where we have to acknowledge the assistance that we have received. And this acknowledgement can come in the form of any AI declaration forms that you may be asked to sign, or even just by doing any proper referencing and citations in your work as well. So whenever you get any information from an AI tool, you do need to cite that information as coming from an AI tool. Now, most citation styles do actually give you some guidelines on how to cite AI tools already. And NTU's general stance is that we do need to have a shareable link to that conversation that you've had with that tool. Finally, just as a form of your own personal best practice, is to have some form of record keeping of any prompts, responses that you have used AI for, and keep a track of which date you asked what question and what kind of information you got from that tool. This is just to help you document your work more efficiently so that later on, when you do need to do your declarations or when you do need to do your citations, you have the information ready to go. So speaking of citations, there are of course many different citation styles out there. So do ensure that you use the appropriate and proper citation style for your particular project or for your particular work to acknowledge others' work and uphold academic standards. So we have guides that are available for most commonly used citation styles, as well as we have the physical books available in the library as well. If you have any questions about citation styles, you may also contact the NTU Library for help. Now, in order to manage your citations, we do recommend that you use some form of a reference management software, especially at this stage when you're dealing with a large number of references and citations that you need to work with. So reference management software can help you import your citations and PDFs from OneSearch, Google Scholar, and different databases into one place. You can organize them by tags, by notes, by the different topics that you're working on as well. And for certain software, it allows you to actually network with other researchers and share libraries and share references as well. So it allows you to collaborate quite easily as well. Now, when it comes to NTU, we do have a subscription to EndNote, so you can request for EndNote if that is what you need to use. But we generally do recommend students to try out Zotero, as it is a simple to use and simple to learn software, and it is free to download as well. The library offers support for reference management, including consultations on how to use these tools effectively. We also have comprehensive library guides on these tools as well that you can check out on your own to take a look at some of the steps that are required and things like that. If at any point you have questions about using any one of these tools, please feel free to contact the library. Thank you for watching the video so far, and here are just some final points on attending the live seminar when you do. Firstly, remember to only register for one session that you can make for the full duration. This seminar goes for 3 hours, so please do make sure that you can attend the full 3 hours when you register for your one session. Please do not hog any of the spots, as there are many students who need to attend this session, as this is compulsory for all NTU graduate students. Before you come down for your session, make sure you check your date, time, and venue of the session that you have registered for, as some of these sessions are in different venues. On the day of the seminar, do come in early, at least 15 minutes early if you're able to, and do note that latecomers will not be admitted, as we do need to start this on time. Do bring a laptop, as phones and tablets do not quite support seminar activities to the same extent as a laptop would. And do remember to stay for the full session, as your attendance will only be recorded upon full completion of the 3 hours. And this is a 3-hour session, so do come in energized as well. Now, when you come in, do make sure to check your group number on the list that will be pasted at the entrance of the venue. Then you can sit at your assigned table and log into NTU Learn. So the activities for this seminar will be all on NTU Learn, and you will be provided further instructions when you come in to the seminars themselves. So thank you everyone for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys at the live seminar as well. Thank you.